Hey, what's up guys? Back again on my channel. So, got some recent stuff here. I picked up a lot of stuff here in the past few weeks since my last video. You're going to be hearing some noise in the background. I apologize for that. That's actually my fan going right now because it is pretty warm where I'm at right now in the country. I mean, it looks overcast outside. Hopefully we get some more rain. But yeah, it's pretty warm. And so I've got the fan going right now to keep me cool and to make sure that everything, that I'm cool and all my electronics are cool. So, alright, got a lot of pickups here, so I'm going to go ahead and get to them. First off, I'm going to get to the, let's do PlayStation. I picked up WCW NWO Thunder for the PlayStation 1 here. And I do remember playing this game. Of course, this is complete with the manual. Game disc is in real awesome condition here. Didn't pay too much, paid $1.99 for this. I do remember playing this game a lot when I was growing up. I remember the, in some instances, the full motion video that they integrated into it. And so, yep, I was really glad to find this for $1.99. So went ahead and picked this up. So I'll join my PlayStation 1 collection that I got over there, all the games that I have. So I'll join WCW Mayhem, which was the other one they picked up. Alright, next one's, let's go to Super Nintendo here. For Super Nintendo, I picked up Mighty Morphin Power Rangers loose cart, $1.99 for the Super Nintendo. So, I'd seen videos of that game. I haven't actually played it, and I don't know if I want to dig my Super Nintendo out and hook it up to play it. But I might, because I have the Sega Genesis version of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, because that's a game I remember playing. There is another Power Rangers game I do remember playing on the Super Nintendo. It was Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Fighting Edition on the Super Nintendo, and I do remember playing that game. I'm going to be looking for that game because I do remember renting that from the video store and playing that on like a Friday night or something like that. And then also I remember playing the Sega Genesis version. That's one of the reasons why I got that. Alright. Okay, also for the Super Nintendo, I picked up not one, but 2 copies of Shaq Fu for the Super Nintendo. One of these I only paid $1.99 for. The other one I got for free. Because where I went, you buy 5 games, you get the 6 free, or buy 6 games, you get the 7 free. Some deal like that. And I couldn't pass this up. So, yep. I got 2 copies here of Shaq Fu in my collection. I'm only going to keep one for myself. The other one I'm actually going to send out to somebody, and which actually brings up as many know a while back, I picked up 3 copies of Super Mario All-Stars on the Super Nintendo, 2 of the regular Super Mario All-Stars, and then the one that was a combo cart with Super Mario All-Stars and Super Mario World, which was packaged with the Super Nintendo Junior back in the late 90s, near the end of the Super Nintendo lifespan. And I thought, I did mention I was going to probably give this out in a contest, but I've actually, I didn't decide on that. I finally made the decision that I'm going to go ahead and send this to somebody. So, LMA 187, be on the lookout, man. I'm going to be sending you this copy of Super Mario All-Stars, and then this copy of Shaq Fu for the Super Nintendo. So, yep, both of these are coming your way, man. I'm going to get these sent out sometime this week. So be on the lookout for those, because I know, you're big into Super Nintendo. That was one of your favorite systems growing up. So I'm going to send these out to you, man, because they're coming your way. So, alrighty, what's next? Okay, Sega CD. Picked up a game for the Sega CD. I've been seeing this game sitting on the shelf for like 2 or 3 weeks. The past few times I've been to the store where I got a lot of my games at. Oh shoot, I forgot I got 2 other games up there. I'll gotta grab those here in a minute, but yeah, I picked up Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective Volume 2 for the Sega CD. Complete, has the manual, has the disc, has the newspaper article. Yep. And I remember hearing about this game on the Sega CD, and it's got both discs in there, disc 1, disc 2. So yep, the box is kind of beat up, which, I mean, the past few times I went to where I got my games at, I'd seen it sitting on the shelf, and I was like, I wonder if anybody's ever going to buy it. So one day I broke down and just went ahead and got it. Figure I'd give this a good home. I mean, like I said, the box is kind of beat to shit, so there's not much I can do to salvage it, but, you know, it'll join my Sega CD game collection here. Alright, let me grab these real quick. Please forgive me. Very unprofessional of me, as Atari 777 would say. But yeah, I picked up some Atari 2600 games. I picked up 2 of them for dirt cheap. I picked up Space Invaders for the 2600. Of course, kind of got tape holding the label on because the label kind of peels off. But I think I'm going to find a more permanent solution to re-glue this label back on. And also picked up Missile Command for the Atari 2600. So yeah, got both these games. These games actually will join ET in my Atari 2600 collection. Alright, what's next? Got a whole bunch of Sega Genesis cartridges here. Whole bunch of, I've got four boxed Sega Genesis games and about 3 loose carts, and then I've got some other ones. So let's go ahead and get with the loose carts first. First off, picked up Mortal Kombat 3 for the Sega Genesis. Didn't pay too much, $1.99. Yep, so now I have all 3 Mortal Kombats on the Sega Genesis. Let's see, picked up Columns for the Sega Genesis. Loose cart, same price, $1.99. Got a little label on there. I figured I'd leave that on there. Because then this looks like this was probably an old rental store copy at one time, so I figured I'd go ahead and keep that on there. And then, as mentioned, I had gotten Shaq Fu on the on the Super Nintendo. Well, now I also got Shaq Fu on the Sega Genesis Mega Drive. And I know Lee LMA 187. I know you were talking. This is your favorite. You like this version of Shaq Fu better than the Super Nintendo version. I wish I could find another Sega Genesis version, man. But this was the only one I'd seen, and they had like 3 or 4 copies of Shaq Fu on the Super Nintendo. So yep. So I'm keeping this one myself. I've actually played this, kicked the hell out of the computer's ass, which is kind of funny. So yep, this will go in my collection. Alrighty. Let's see, next picked up 3 Sega Genesis 32X games. And so let's see, first off I picked up Virtua Fighter for the Sega Genesis 32X, not for resale copy. I'm actually on the lookout for these not for resale copies, because I think these are actually going to be a little more rare than the regular copies, because these were like packaged in deals and stuff like that. So yeah, picked that up. Picked up Star Wars Arcade to the 32X. You know, played this right after I got it. Pretty great. And then finally picked up Virtual Racing Deluxe for the 32X. So those are 3 games I've got for the 32X. Now I know people are probably asking yourself, you know, if you've seen my past videos, be like, Bufferkid, you don't own the 32X. You have a Sega CD and a Sega Genesis. You don't have a 32X. And you're right. And you would be right. I don't have a 32X, but actually, now, I do have a 32X. There it is right here. It's the Sega Genesis 32X. Picked this up box and complete off of eBay for like $50. Got the box on display right over here. It's with my Sega Genesis box. It was the only thing that was missing was the manuals. Came with the RF shielding that goes inside the Genesis 2. Came with the expansion plate for the Model 2 Sega Genesis. Of course, the key thing you want to get is the transfer cable for the 32X that allows you to plug it into either the Model 1 or the Model 2 Sega Genesis. And of course, it does have the Model 1 adapter, the Model 1 Sega Genesis adapter for the transfer cable. So yep, when I was growing up and I'd seen pictures of this, I totally wanted this. I was like, man, that's a freaking badass game console. I totally want this. Because at the time when I got my first Genesis, my first Model 2 Genesis, all I had was the 32X. I never got a hold of the Sega CD. And by the time I got it, it was end of the Sega Genesis lifespan. Sega was moving on to the Saturn. And I was like, you know, I doubt I'd ever get a Sega CD. And then a couple years ago, I picked up my box Sega Genesis, and then not too long after, I picked up my Sega CD off of eBay. And, you know, and then I finally was able to get a hold of a 32X again. So yep, so here we go. This is the Sega gaming monster from my childhood that I wanted, that I had seen pictures of, I thought was cool as hell. the Sega Genesis with the 32X and the Sega CD. So yep, one big old piece of gaming hardware right here. And this is unbelievable. It is heavy as heck. I mean, that thing probably weighs about 10 pounds. Maybe 10, probably 8 pounds total with all 3 adapters on. Alrighty. Okay. Now let's get to the box Sega Genesis games. First off, picked up Sonic the Hedgehog, not for resale version for the Sega Genesis. Came with the case in the game. I thought it came with the manual when I'd seen the listing. I thought this was the manual. But then when I looked at it the other day, I just got this in the mail just the other day, and I looked at this, and I opened this up, and I was like, holy cow. I mean, I'd rather take this over the manual any day of the week, to be honest with you. And it's a poster that lists all the games that were coming out for the Sega Genesis at the time that Sonic the Hedgehog had come out. And then on the reverse side, it's the poster for Toe Jam and Earl. So yep, I'm going to keep this folded up here. Eventually I'm going to get a frame for this. And I'm probably going to do the same with the other one I've got hanging up on my shelf. You've seen that in some of my earlier videos. The Welcome to the Next Level one that came with my Model 2 Genesis. I'm going to get a frame for both of those and put those in frames. And hopefully have them up here on display on my wall. So yeah, when I'd seen this, I was like, this is awesome. You know, this made up for this being late getting shipped out. So I don't, hell yeah. So yep. So now I get Sonic 1. As many know, I have 2 copies of Sonic the Hedgehog 2. One is my complete version, my US version that I got with my Sega Genesis, and the other one is the loose cart that Nemesis 3561 sent me, which does work. And I actually tested it out with the 32X hooked up, and it does. This Sega Genesis does play PAL games. It will play PAL games. The color differences maybe some differences in the colors, but both will play PAL games. It'll play both NTSC and PAL games. So if you want to get a game from the UK for the Sega Genesis, you want to get one for the European Mega Drive, you pick one up and play it fine on your console. There's no region lockout chip in there as far as I know. Alright, next off, picked up Sonic the Hedgehog 3 for the Sega Genesis. This is boxed and complete with Wee Willie Winky on top. Game, cartridge, and manual. So yep, so now I own all 3 Sonic the Hedgehogs for the Sega Genesis Mega Drive. So, been playing that the other night. It'll take me a little bit to get used to that game, because I'm so used to playing Sonic the Hedgehog 2. Right. Next game I picked up, I gotta find a new case for this, because when I picked this up, it was missing the plastic shielding, but it was complete. It was complete. And that is Street Fighter 2 Special Champion Edition for the Sega Genesis manual, game cartridge. Cartridge is a little beat up. It looked like somebody shoved it up their ass or something, I don't know. Or somebody didn't know how to take care of their game cartridges. So yeah, and then as mentioned, the case is missing the outer plastic shielding that goes over it, so the label's kind of taped on there. I didn't pay too much for this. Like, I think I paid $2.99 or something like this, I don't know. So yeah, I got that for the Sega Genesis. And then finally for games that I picked up for the Sega Genesis, picked up F-15 Strike Eagle 2 for the Sega Genesis. This is complete game cartridge, manual. Looks like it has some cheat codes in there too. I haven't plugged this in to try it out and see if it is. Of course, it's got the Wee Willie Winky on top. That's common on those. So yep. So now that's all the Sega Genesis games I've got. And I've got one more pickup here. Picked this up recently for $20. When I went to go buy games, I'd seen it sitting on the shelf. I'd asked the people at work at the store, I was like, hey, what's the story on this? Is this the only one you got? And they're like, yeah, this is the only one we got. So I was like, hell, I'll go ahead and take it. I could always use another one, you never know. Of course, right now, the Sega Genesis, the Sega Channel adapter is actually in, and that, of course, is a Model 1 Sega Genesis. Go ahead and take the Sega Channel adapter out of there. Now this is the non-high definition graphics one. This is the second version of the Model 2, where the expansion port was missing for the Sega Mega Modem. And like I said, it doesn't have the high definition graphics claim on it. But yeah, I haven't hooked this up yet to see if it works. I actually want to get some composite video cables for it, and then hook it up. I may use this as capturing Sega Genesis. plug it into my capture device and use this for capture purposes only, or just have it for display purposes as well. You know, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do with the Sega Genesis. Yeah, but yeah, always wanted the Model 1 Sega Genesis. Finally got a hold of one, $20. Couldn't beat that. Couldn't beat it. Alright, and then finally, as many you know, I got the Sega channel adapter here. Let me slide this back on here. That's actually what that little blue piece does. This blue piece is kind of like an extension plate, which I'm going to talk about that. I'm planning on doing a review of this device. People are probably asking me, Bufferkid, does your Sega channel adapter work? I found a power supply that actually works for it. I'm going to do a video about it. I just got to change some stuff around, hook some, you know, move some stuff around to make it work, but you know, it does work. It's fully functional. You know, the only thing is, you know, there is no broadcast signal anymore for Sega channels, so yeah, this adapter does work. And I thought this was pretty cool. I actually have a picture of this, but I'm going to show you. I have a picture of what this looks like on Facebook. And what's pretty cool is there's actually a Sega channel page on Facebook that you can go, you know, you can go like, and what's pretty cool is they actually used one of my photos of this adapter with my Model 2 Sega Genesis and Sega CD. Now, this was before I got the 32X. Yeah, I have a picture of this, as you can see. Now tell me something. Tell me something, friends. Can you imagine having this in your freaking living room, or in your room when you was a kid, playing this? Tell me, how freaking awesome is that? Come on, tell me. I'm actually going to try to see if this actually works with the 32X in here. So, yeah, I just got to reroute some cabling and stuff like that to see if this actually works. But how awesome would this be? If you was a kid in 1994, you were, you know, say you were a kid that, you know, you had allowance and stuff like that, or your parents got you stuff like this for Christmas, and you say, hey Mom, Dad, I want the Sega channel. And you know, our parents say, yeah, sure, no problem, son. And you actually got an adapter. Or if, like, late 90s, near the end of the service, when the second adapter came out and you got this, how freaking cool would you think this would be to have this? This is a freaking behemoth of freaking gaming technology right here. This is freaking huge. I mean, compare that to the Model 1 Sega Genesis. This thing is a freaking beast. Of course, I could slide the Model 1 Genesis right onto the Model 2 Sega CD, because I actually have an expansion plate for the Sega CD add-on for the Model 1. But yeah, this is freaking awesome right here. This is just a huge piece of gaming technology that I have I'm privileged to have in my collection right now. So, all right, thanks for watching, guys. Be sure to check out some of these awesome gamers channels: LMA187, Nemesis 3561, Gamer Jitsu, Girl Gamer Arrow, Just Another Level, Derek the Completionist. Who else I want to shout? Check out D Ziller. He just came back on the YouTube, started making videos again. So, Arcade Main Machine. So yeah, be sure to check out these great gamers, and thanks for watching, guys. Sorry this video is almost 20 minutes long, but there's a lot of stuff here I got. So, once again, thanks for watching. This is Bufferkid saying be cool, and see ya. And be sure to stay tuned to my channel for the review of the Sega channel adapter. I'm going to work on that today, so see you later.